Welcome to the future of spooky, scary creatures. The Twitterverse is jam-packed with all sorts of extremely talented artists putting together some extremely compelling work. At the forefront of this movement is the well-known mind behind Siren Head and many other creatures, the Canadian creator of crazy creepy crawlies, Trevor Henderson. Not one to rest on his laurels, Slimy Swamp Ghost continues to put out beast after freaky beast, and his 2021 output has remained top-notch. So today I present you with a collection of some of the latest and greatest from one of the coolest horror artists going. It's time for the top 5 Newest Trevor Henderson Creatures 2021. Coming in at number 5, we've got the Endangered Golden Snub-Nosed Sasquatch. It already feels like it's been at least a few weeks since that goofy little monkey went viral. To be honest, I've lost all concept of linear time during the pandemic, so anything that happened during the past year might as well have happened yesterday or 6 months ago. No in between. Thankfully, Twitter tends to timestamp stuff, so we all know when this enormous brooding beast in the style of the funny internet monkey made its first appearance. April 18th, 2021, the day of reckoning. If you were one of the many folks enamored by the tiny friend asking for berries and other assorted snacks, you might want to look away. This older, angrier cousin is not looking to be your pal, and it's no longer affable and adorable, and it's not simply going to ask for snacks. I can only imagine this huge, lumbering humanoid waiting outside of a tent in the middle of the night, arm outstretched as if to request that you hand something over. But what does it want? It's not berries, it's not snacks, so what? Well, probably something like your soul, or maybe a pint of blood. And it'll be damned if you don't fork it over right away. For all of these Sasquatch and Bigfoot and skunk ape hunting people tend to do, you've got to wonder if they really want to encounter the cryptid they've been tailing. Like, let's leave these majestic and horrifying creatures alone, yeah? Otherwise they might beat us to death. God, just look at the thing. The perspective alone tells how gigantic it is. With the light hitting it like below the knee, it's a sight nobody wants while hiking through the bush in the dark. Just picture looking through the window of a cabin and seeing this thing lurking among the trees. That's an image nobody's scrubbing from their brains anytime soon. Good lord. Let's hope the next few monkey encounters are just as pleasant as the original viral post, because if they start looking more like this, we're all in trouble. Give it a few more years and the Sasquatches will be out in droves. Coming in at number 4, bird. Well, that can't be that bad, right? It's just a bird. We've lived alongside these winged creatures for years, and the worst that seems to happen is that someone will get dive-bombed every once in a while. Maybe an ostrich will get extra aggressive, or some chickens will relentlessly peck at someone's ankles. But those birds, they've got nothing on this. Introduced with the flavor text, farms left abandoned, their fields overgrown, something moving through the fields nearby. Birds congregate on the land in worship. This prompts a whole lot of imagination now, doesn't it? Why did the farmers abandon their fields? What evil presence inspired that major life change? What's moving out there? The birds or other scarier creatures? Now, if you look right at this thing, you'll find that there isn't much likely to be scarier. Just hanging out by a decrepit tunnel covered in lichen and other dangly haunted house decorations, looking back over its shoulder at whoever's interrupted its strange rituals in the dark. Ugh, it kind of looks like a huge bird/human fetus with those awful red eyes. And the multiple deformed little wings on its back really sell that idea. So how did this thing come to be? Is it an experiment between bird and man gone wrong? A demon summoned from the nether realms? Regardless of how it got here, I'd really rather it just went away. At least you can almost guarantee that you'll avoid it by staying out of an abandoned farmer's field, right? But some folks just can't seem to consistently do so. Hopefully they're content with just going about their rituals, ignoring any new presence as best they can. Coming in at number 3, 3 red strings. Now, these apparitions have shown up a few times over the years, but the latest iteration could be the scariest. Mannequin-like figures that seem to float in the air, these are the perfect uncanny valley companions. They've been seen all over, from floating in the sky to hovering just below the ceiling in grubby basements. Although they tend to be in different places quite often, they're always a bad omen. Pallid and dilapidated, these humanoids never have anything resembling heads. Instead, they're supported in the air by 3 red strings. These supports allow them to sort of float wherever they are, resulting in a very foreboding atmosphere. They've been spotted way above cityscapes, startling folks on the ground, and more recently were discovered by a team of first responders in a suburban home. The story gets a little muddy though, as it's reported that a few hours later they had disappeared. But who disappeared? The mannequins or the first responders? Maybe both, right? All I know is that I would not want to find myself facing down these horrid beings late at night. Although I am curious about where those red strings lead. Not so sure I'm willing to go ahead and find out though. Coming in at number 2, we've got Mr. Bag. Oh no. There's something extra upsetting about a creature that seems to consist of large black plastic bags. Some claim that this atrocity smells like hot garbage, which is probably a pretty accurate description. First appearing back in December, Mr. Bag has paid a few visits to the good people of the internet. The first image of this creature depicts it casting a shadow against a wall with some crude drawings on it. Lore is always appreciated, and it seems as though Mr. Bag either likes to draw himself and his targets, or he lets himself be known to a younger individual who then becomes obsessed and starts scribbling that shit everywhere. Apparently this thing has been around for decades too. Trevor followed up his original image with one of Mr. Bag depicted in a Polaroid marked June 13th, 1993. Hopefully the poor sap who snapped the picture's okay, but I somehow doubt it. Mr. Bag looks like he's at least 15 feet tall, probably more, but it's tough to tell. And according to Trevor himself, he's not nice. Not even a little bit. The pale face and empty eyes poking out of a mass of black plastic is an image that will probably stick with a lot of people. Plus, whatever new details we learn of will probably be extra grisly. And coming in at number 1, we've got The Long Lady. Remember Host, the pandemic-themed Zoom call horror movie that released to almost universal acclaim late last year? It took a lot of ingenious planning to make that work, but it was definitely worth it in the end. Experimental, relatable, and definitely scary, it did something a whole lot of people have tried to do for years. Make a webcam horror movie that is good from start to finish. When somebody makes something like that, you know there's gonna be a lot of people looking to work with them in the future. And guess what happened? Jed Shepard, the writer/executive producer of Host, is working on a new project called Ghosts, and he got Trevor Henderson to design the monster, and Jim Henson's Creature Workshop is fabricating it. All that together sounds like a dream come true. We haven't seen too much of this creature, the Long Lady, yet, but if you head over to the project's Kickstarter, there are a few teaser images. Black and white photos of a London neighborhood have something hidden within, and those with a sharp eye might be able to catch a glimpse of this legendary creature. Ghosts is going to be a real-time live-action horror video game about a team of ghost hunters trying to keep their viewership alive. In order to keep their audience engaged, they decide to investigate an infamous suburb filled with oddball residents and, of course, ghastly paranormal rumors. Players run the show from behind the scenes, making choices about the broadcast that will impact how interested viewers are and the fates of the on-screen ghost hunters. Taking inspiration from games like Night Trap and Phantasmagoria, it'll be a fascinating ride for sure, especially with the team behind it. Plus, the game just about demands that you play it live, meaning that you have to log in right at 10 p.m. to play, and from there, all bets are off. No pausing, no leaving, no nothing. Immersion, am I right? So if you're a fan of Trevor Henderson and want to see one of his creations truly come to life, then this is the game for you. Keep an eye out for new images of the Long Lady, too. Fresh, freaky monsters just for you. All from one of the coolest creators out there. So what'd you think of the list? Did you like my picks? What's your favorite Trevor Henderson creation? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more legit ones from the top 5 SCPs the government doesn't want you to know. Matt H says, I'm pretty sure the government doesn't want us to know about any SCPs, lol. Yeah, that's pretty fair. Azura says, I just got home from the hospital. Work-related injury, the SCP videos make me feel better. I hope you're recovering well and glad we could be of service. Michael Rutherford says, hey Keegan, where do you come up with all of the I'm gonna things at the end of every video? How do you find time for all of them? Well, you know how Jimmy Neutron has brain blasts? Yeah, it's kind of like that, except instead of coming up with like cool solutions to problems, I come up with those. Unknown says, try checking out the different canons or GOI formats if you haven't already. Also, the Dark Queen called me out some time ago. I wonder what the chances are that Keegan will do the same. See, why don't I have a cool nickname like that? People just call me Keegan. I don't get to be the Dark anything. Oh well, I love diving deep on the wiki, and I guess here's your shout out. And James Freeman says, crap, I have to avoid water and I can't even swim. Well, good luck out there. And that's the time we have for today. I'm gonna climb some trees by the nearest logging operation. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. There's gonna be a whole lot of folks who, I keep saying a whole lot. Black and white photos of a London neighborhood have, black and white team of ghost humpers, no.